49ers mailbag coming your way here on the 49ers Report. I am your host, as always, Chase Sr. Love answering your questions as we go live every single Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific. But before I answer those questions, if you think the 49ers can pull off the upset against the 7-1 Arizona Cardinals, hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. We start off with a $5 super chat from Garcia Brothers. Should we sign Desean Jackson since he was released? Also, aren't you glad you hung up on your bad luck shirt for the 49ers win? Yeah, so a couple of things here. Should the 49ers sign Desean Jackson? I still think that he can run. He is, over the course of NFL history, one of the best deep threats that the game has ever seen, second behind Jerry Rice in the most 50-yard plus receiving touchdowns. And early on in the season, he was a big play threat for the Los Angeles Rams. He was hooking up a couple of times with Matthew Stafford. And when you sign a player of that caliber, you're really able to stretch the field vertically, which opens up everything underneath. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk, while they're both talented players, Deebo Samuel playing like one of the best wide receivers in the league up to this point in the year, aren't deemed deep threats. And George Kittle, you have him coming back off that calf injury, who can really have some space opened up underneath as well as a tight end. So those are the benefits that Desean Jackson gives you. Also, as far as your comment on my Bad Luck 49ers shirt, we dropped a lot of money here at Chat Sports on a new 49ers polo, the same polos that a lot of coaches across the NFL wear, but the 49ers were not winning when I was wearing the 49ers polo. They dropped 4 straight, so I dropped it last week, and what do you know? San Francisco got the dub. Am I superstitious? Maybe a little bit. What Noodle 187, was you surprised that there was no other trades? I wasn't really, because the NFL trade deadline isn't like the Major League Baseball trade deadline or the NBA trade deadline. It's few and far between when you see a lot of moves made on NFL trade deadline day. I did like what the Niners did, bolstering up that defensive line with Omenihu. I think he could be pretty solid, but I wasn't really surprised that there weren't any other trades that the 49ers did make. Kind of would have liked them to address the secondary, but when you bolster up the defensive line, that's a smart move that a lot of smart franchises make because I think you win on the trenches. Jamie Bryant, should we pick up Jaylon Smith? No chance. Jaylon Smith is washed. It was a medical miracle that he was able to come back off that knee injury that he suffered at Notre Dame. If he did not suffer that knee injury in what was, I believe, the Fiesta Bowl while with Notre Dame, I think he would have had a career that spanned 10 years. And what's crazy is that he comes off that injury that a lot of people didn't expect him to recover from. And the first couple of years with the Dallas Cowboys, he was really good. But if he gets cut by Dallas and then cut after only a couple of weeks and was a healthy scratch by the Green Bay Packers and then they just let him go, it goes to show you he just ain't it, and he doesn't have anything left. Billy Baker, 46, who do you wish the 49ers would have traded for? There were a couple of defensive backs out there that I think I would have taken flyers on. Cameron Dantzler of the Minnesota Vikings, who was getting torched against the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football. Obviously, the ideal trade target would be a guy like Xavier Howard, who I think is one of the best defensive backs in the league this year. His number's a little bit down, but still the interception numbers are certainly there. And I thought the Dolphins, as one of the worst teams in the league who are struggling mightily, were going to sell, and maybe Xavier Howard was going to be on the trade block, which doesn't just help you this year, helps you in the future as well. So if there's one guy, it's a guy like Xavier Howard. But who do you think the 49ers should have traded for? Just drop me some names in the comment section right now and let me know who you think San Francisco should have traded for prior to the NFL trade deadline. Roc Peebles, why is Kyle Shanahan, banana hand, scared to play Trey Sermon? The kid performs, averages over 4.7 yards per carry. Is it practice? Practice? We talking about practice? Not a game, practice. Shout out to Allen Iverson, another one of the GOATs. I'm not sure why Kyle Shanahan isn't playing Trey Sermon. I don't, like, in terms of practice, right? I think he's not playing Trey Sermon because Elijah Mitchell has gone out there and had a terrific rookie season in which he has looked like a perfect back in a Kyle Shanahan outside zone scheme. Now, am I worried about Trey Sermon long term? Not yet. When he's been on the field in very, very limited carries, I think he's run with a little pop, but Elijah Mitchell's just been very, very good. And I think when you see a rookie play like that, Kyle Shanahan has a bunch of confidence in him, and he's been riding with him, and it's worked. Jacktube JJJ, why do you think they did not try to trade for Odell Beckham Jr.? 49ers really were never in on Odell Beckham Jr. There was that comment from that NFL executive that we had talked a lot about here on the channel about why not trade Jimmy Garoppolo for OBJ, and then Case Keenum went out there, had a pretty solid performance 2 Thursdays ago in a big Browns win. And then Jimmy Garoppolo goes out and plays his best game since maybe 2019 against the Chicago Bears. And I just don't think that Kyle Shanahan thinks that Trey Lance is ready. So if Trey Lance isn't ready, it doesn't make a lot of sense from a team perspective to trade away Jimmy Garoppolo because you're not going to move forward with Nate Sudfeld. The teams rumored to be in on OBJ today did include the New Orleans Saints, not the San Francisco 49ers. GamerDude, what up, Chase the GOAT? You're the GOAT. What do you think Jimmy G stats are going to be against the Cardinals? Let's see. So he threw for more than 300 yards against the Chicago Bears, had those 2 rushing touchdowns. He really needs to play well against Arizona without J.J. Watt, which is, of course, significant. I think Jimmy G, let's say he throws for, if the Niners win, 270 yards, and he puts forward 2 touchdowns. I think that'd be a pretty solid outing for Jimmy Garoppolo, moving off the momentum from last week's win against Chicago. We are going to be doing a watch party for this game on Sunday. Last week's watch party, it got lit. We had a bunch of people watching, $700 almost in Super Chats. I whipped out the Patron. It got crazy. We'll be doing another watch party for this game on Sunday and going live 4:05 p.m. Eastern, 1:05 p.m. Pacific. Make sure you subscribe and join us. If you haven't joined us for our watch parties, live play-by-play, I take your questions, take your Super Chats, give you live analysis, stats, highlights, all that stuff. Again, subscribe and join us. It's always a ball. Roc Peebles, 49ers keys to the game. Bench Garoppolo and let Trey Lance eat. I'd love to see Trey Lance eat. And up until last week, I was waiting for Trey Lance to eat. And then Jimmy Garoppolo goes out there and has a great performance. Coming off a stellar game like that, there's just no chance that Kyle Shanahan is not going to play Jimmy Garoppolo. He is going to be your starter. Trey Lance just isn't ready yet. And I believe Kyle Shanahan in his evaluation of where Lance is at this point. Now, he didn't play at all against Chicago. Could he play against Arizona to give you a dual threat option in some short yardage situations? Possibly. But Garoppolo is going to start, especially after how he balled out against the Bears. EJ Redemption. Nice little bio pick there. My profile pick is goated. Should we trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick for next year to draft a cornerback? And also, did you hear about Henry Ruggs III? Wow, a lot going on there. One, your profile pick, EJ, it is definitely goated, but I'd like to say that you and GamerDude are 2 of the GOATs. Should we trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a second-round pick? The trade deadline passed at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern today on Tuesday as we record this, so you can't trade him away. Now, for a second-round pick in the future, I would be attracted to a deal like that. And did we hear about Henry Ruggs? Yes. Mitchell Renz, host of the Las Vegas Raiders Report, went live for a couple of hours talking about all of the developments with Henry Ruggs. If you've been living under a rock and don't know about it, charged with the DUI, just got booked late on Tuesday afternoon, early Tuesday evening, because there was a death in that DUI car crash in Las Vegas just after 3 a.m. on Tuesday. Not good at all for him, an ascending player who his future status really unknown at this point and moment. Ellis 10, do the Cardinals have linebackers that can cover Kittle? Also, your thoughts on Mitchell's performance last week. Elijah Mitchell was terrific last week. Another 100-yard performance, back-to-back 100-yard performances for the rookie. He's looking more and more like a future stud back in Kyle Shanahan's outside zone scheme, as I've talked about a lot. And it's wild because Kyle Shanahan, running backs coach Bobby Turner, every running back they've pretty much been able to coach has had a high level of production. It continues with Elijah Mitchell. Do the Cardinals have linebackers that can cover Kittle? Yeah. Jordan Hicks is a great linebacker. Budda Baker is a stud hybrid who can kind of cover Kittle as well. Isaiah Simmons, really good player too. So, yes, they have a bunch of options. Still not sure, though, if George Kittle is going to play. So we'll continue to keep you updated on that as, again, we record this during our live show on Tuesday. Do you want a free San Francisco 49ers jersey? Here's how we can get you hooked up. It's all thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. So if you go to chatsports.com/49bet, enter the promo code Niners125, you sign up and you deposit $100 into your account, you'll get automatically an additional $125 back on top of that. And this deal applies to anybody living in any state across America. Once you do all of those steps, email us, jersey@chatsports.com, and let us know that you followed all of those steps. But you also have to lay a bet as part of this as well. Here are the jerseys that we can send you basically as soon as possible. And we've been sending out hundreds of jerseys over the last couple of weeks. Still more jerseys en route to you if you did already do this deal. Nick Bosa, Trey Lance, George Kittle. Right now, any size, any color will get you hooked up. Just follow all of those steps. DJ, whatever works, even if it's superstition. He's talking about me just deciding to hang up my 49ers polo that I had to hang up, had to not wear last week because the Niners had suffered 4 losses in a row. So whether it was superstitious or not, it worked. So credit me and me only for the 49ers win against the Chicago Bears. Also, predict the score for this game on Sunday between San Francisco and Arizona. Just start flooding the chat and the comment section right now with your predictions for this game on Sunday between the Niners and the Cardinals. 49er Media with this question, why didn't we trade for a cornerback? Yeah, I guess just no deals really popped up that were advantageous and smart for the 49ers to make. Now, they did address a position of importance by bolstering up that defensive line, making that trade with the Houston Texans for Omenihu, but I was looking at guys like Cameron Dantzler as more realistic trade targets. Xavier Howard probably didn't trend toward being realistic. I wanted them to make a trade. They didn't, though. You're really going to have to rely on that pass rush to get home. Cam Niner, will Jimmy Garoppolo start the rest of the season as long as he's healthy? I think we're trending in that direction because when you kind of dissect everything that Kyle Shanahan has said over the last couple of weeks, it really just doesn't seem that Trey Lance is healthy right now. So I think Garoppolo is going to start the rest of the season. I just think that we're going in that direction, especially with how well he played against Chicago. You don't want to risk the confidence of your young quarterback who you exhausted so much draft capital on to move up to number 3 to take him. You don't want to just throw him out there if he's not ready because his confidence will then go right down the tube. So as long as he's not ready to play, I think Kyle Shanahan's going to continue to move forward with Jimmy G as the starter. EJ Redemption with this question, with all of our running backs, will Hasty still be on the roster in 2022-2023? I think for next year, he might be. You have to factor this in. I think that Raheem Mostert is not going to be on the team. He's in the final year of his contract, suffered a lot of injuries. He's also in his late 20s. And I think the Niners are going with a youth movement at the running back spot. So I do think Hasty could be on the team. I do not think Raheem Mostert will be on it. Matthew Murray, picking up great defensive linemen, makes legendary corners and safeties. So this is what I say. Like, you can get by with average to below average secondary play if you're just generating a ton of pressure with your defensive front and then sending some blitz packages at times with your linebackers and your front 7. Again, if the quarterback doesn't have time to really read the field and have time to have a 5-step, 7-step drop, without being able to carve up your defense because the pressure is on them, then you can get by with suspect secondary play. PA Niner Fan 87, do you think that Brandon Aiyuk continues to get more targets this week? It was cool to see him get more involved. Definitely had his best game of the season against the Chicago Bears. 7 targets. I love that because his targets were down severely from last year when he led the team in targets. 4 catches, 45 yards, and they all came in some pretty critical situations on 3rd down conversions. So I would love to be able to see this trend continue of Brandon Aiyuk being targeted more, utilized more, but also, I was watching that Kyle Shanahan speech in the locker room after the game, and he is now starting to compliment Brandon Aiyuk more, saying, Aiyuk, hell of a game, whereas a couple weeks ago he was talking about this guy having some questionable practice sessions. So this is all trending in a good direction for a player last year as a first-round pick. We saw him have a lot of ability. Another question coming in from Matthew Murray, trade George Kittle and Jimmy Garoppolo for Aaron Rodgers. That would be crazy. Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle for Aaron Rodgers. It would also be crazy for the Green Bay Packers to pull the trigger on that deal because if you're Green Bay, think about it as if you are them running that front office, running that business. Aaron Rodgers, still one of the best quarterbacks in the league, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. You're trying to get back more than George Kittle, injury-prone tight end, and Jimmy Garoppolo, somewhat average quarterback. Just my thoughts.